now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I said, go ahead, shoot me a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. This code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but baseball season is still in full effect, so I'm gonna go ahead and catch one of these games, create me an account real quick, and go ahead and slot to one of these Cubs games. And you know the White Sox, they think it's been real cheap because they've been losing a lot, so I'm gonna go to one of them games too. So go ahead, create you an account, check out your hometown team. Anyway, look, man, in the NBA, it's been crazy in the free agency deals right now. All of these different things that's been happening. Klay Thompson left the Warriors. You got DeRozan looking for a new home, LeBron picking up Bronny and trying to get more people, and Rob Pelinka not doing nothing. All of that other stuff is going on. But the thing that stood out to me most, and the thing that has to be talked about the most right now, is Paul George going to the 76ers, which is the Woj bomb that we've all been waiting for. We haven't got a good Woj bomb like this in a minute. But Paul George and the 76ers, they agreed to a 4-year, $212 million max deal. And the 76ers now got themselves a new big three out in Philly with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and they also picked up Kelly Oubre again for a 2-year deal for $16 million. So, this team has been killing it, man. And right off the back, I kind of want to kill all those talks about, Paul George was overpaid and stuff, because, no, man, Paul George here, he was worth absolutely every penny that the Philadelphia 76ers paid this man, because there's been no legitimate proof of a decline in his game. He's 34 years old right now. He shot the best he's ever shot in his career from the field goal and the three-point line, 47% from the field goal percentage and 41% from the three-point line. He played more games than Tyrese Maxey, played more games than Joel Embiid, played more games than Luka Doncic, all while having the same amount of minutes he's maintained over the previous few years. So to me, that looks like a guy who's thriving. And he's clearly still been thriving because he's scoring and getting buckets per usual, averaging 20-something points a game. That, to me, is a guy who is far from a decline. When you shoot the best you've done your entire career, even the years that you were considered an MVP candidate, from the three-point line and the field goal percentage, like that is crazy. And above all, just looking on paper, this really might be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And I know some concerns there. I have a couple of concerns actually with this Philadelphia team, but this trio, they got stars that are all elite 3-level scorers. Joel Embiid can score anywhere on the floor. Tyrese Maxey can score anywhere on the floor. Paul George can clearly score anywhere on the floor. So this allows these guys to work out wherever they're most comfortable on the floor. So if Embiid, he wants to get busy in the paint, that's where he want to work out, that's where he's feeling good, then he can do that. Because you still got some perimeter shooters that are reliable in Paul George, Maxey, Kelly Oubre. If Paul George want to work out in the paint, he can do that. You still got reliable shooters that way. Maxey want to work out in the paint, get to the cup, he can do that. But he can also score from outside, inside, however you want the bucket. Best believe these three guys can give that to you. And either way it goes, whoever does not have the ball in their hand, 8 times out of 10, they're a reliable shooter from the perimeter. Because I trust Joel Embiid to knock down some open shots. Kelly Oubre, who's a lethal shooter from the outside and proved to be a great role guy who can knock down threes. Paul George shooting the best he's done in his career. Tyrese Maxey, we seen the season he had. So I'm loving it, man. Offensively, you're going to be able to keep a lot of different defenses on their toes. And then on the defensive end, they're still pretty damn good. You cannot count them out because Paul George is a lanky defender and a great defender as well. A lot of people forget that he kind of started off in this league by solidifying himself as an elite defender. So, I think this is all around great, man. And looking at matchups, I kind of put them above the Knicks. I know the Knicks just picked up some great moves this offseason, but I put them above the Knicks because they already had a great series and Embiid wasn't even fully healthy. You got the Celtics there, of course. On paper, Philly might be a little bit better. Celtics have a better bench support on paper, but it really just depends on who will play harder, who's coaching better, and who's like protecting the ball most, come playoff time and all of that. But above all, Bucks definitely don't have enough to contend with the Philadelphia 76ers. They need more than just Giannis and Dame if they want to even continue to be a factor in the Eastern Conference. We've seen how all these other teams have boosted up their roster and re-signed guys and brought new pieces to help out the roster, but the Bucks ain't did nothing at all. So that does concern me. And as far as the 76ers, the only thing that I think could be a potential downfall with them is not the injuries, because that's going to be the case for any 30 teams in this league, Western Conference, Eastern Conference. It does not matter. It's more so just the bench support. Not convinced that they have enough coming off the bench to help out the starters with scoring. I know they got a couple of key guys that they brought back and that they still have under contract, but above all, Kyle Lowry is a free agent right now. Buddy Hield still may go somewhere. And those two guys are key pieces to come off somebody's bench and actually be a factor. I mean, Kyle Lowry's an older guy, but he's still someone you can rely on in terms of controlling the game in a good way, especially if you're going to count on him playing some defense. So you want to kind of secure that bench support there, and I think that'll help Philly all along. Anyway, look, man, we got some audio here from the 76ers via NBA. Let's do it. Well, I thought we had the audio, but I guess we did not. So my apologies for the miscommunication there. Anyway, look, we got some side notes here because there's some teams in the free agency deals and all of that. They're not really doing anything, and they decided to rebuild. This team being the Chicago Bulls, they decided to start their rebuilding process as of now, when they should have been doing this for the past few years. I don't know why they've been wasting so much time, but for the latest of the reports, news about Zach Lavine, DeMar DeRozan, and Lonzo Ball, it's been reported that the Chicago Bulls, they've been trying to find deals involving Zach Lavine, but the market is just awful for him. Now, Zach Lavine, he has a huge contract that nobody most likely wants to take on, and this is probably why it's so hard. But also, it was said in the latest of the reports that the Bulls are trying to bundle Zach Lavine and Lonzo Ball together in some sort of package deal. Then you got DeMar DeRozan. It's been reported that he said he doesn't want to stay in Chicago anymore just because he's not trying to be a part of that rebuilding process. So signing Giddey and trading Alex Caruso was the final straw, according to the Sun-Times. And, with the Zach Lavine thing and the Lonzo Ball, bro, tough deal, tough break, bro. This is literally the Chicago Bulls' fault. You signed Zach Lavine to a 5-year, $215 million deal, and that was just nonsense. It was nonsense, bro. For a guy who's always had that injury bug lingering around his NBA career, you decided to pay him a crazy amount of money to get him to stay with your organization. Now it's been proven that he can't stay healthy, and you're trying to get rid of him, but everybody else is too damn smart to realize I'm going to take on this big contract. So I don't know what the Bulls are going to do with Zach Lavine. I don't know what team could possibly be foolish enough to take on this huge contract for a guy who's been injured time after time after time, because he only played 25 games last season, and it hasn't been much more than that over the past course of the last few seasons. Because Lonzo Ball, even if you package him in there, Lonzo Ball ain't played a game of basketball since 2022 in January. This isn't the end of 2022. This is January of 2022. So it's no telling that Lonzo is even going to be half the player that he was when he returns from injury. If he even returns from injury. because this is a risk for everybody. The Bulls have had no direction, bad signings, bad contract after contract for the past 3 to 4 years, and now you want to make it better. This is literally their fault. So it's going to get ugly. It's going to get terrible for them because now you're about to lose Demar DeRozan, someone who's realized that, hey, I don't want to spend the rest of my career with the Chicago Bulls wasting my talent while they try and rebuild and actually figure something out. He wants to go play with a competitor, and I'm not even mad at him. Like, can you even really be mad at Demar DeRozan for trying to go play with a competitor? He's 34, 35 in that age range. He's been playing some of the best ball of his career in the past few years, and all of that talent is being wasted. So I can't even be mad at Demar DeRozan for trying to go find another team to play with. Your team has no direction, they have no structure, and they finally realize that, okay, this is the direction we want to go since we have players that are unhealthy. You were supposed to switch that around 3 years ago when your point guard couldn't play basketball for two more seasons. That's when you should have said, all right, we need to figure out another direction of where to go. Not, hey, let's wait on this guy and see what can happen after 3 more years. No, that's not it. So the Bulls, they deserve every bit of sorrow they're about to receive. From here, I don't even know where the Bulls can go. Lavine has this horrible contract. Good luck getting rid of that contract. I don't think anybody in the league is going to take on that crazy contract for a guy who's unhealthy. 5 years, $215 million is just insane to bring a guy who's not going to turn your franchise around. DeMar wants out. You got Giddey, hooray. And you just paid Patrick Williams, a guy who didn't really prove himself over the past few seasons. But hey, go off Chicago Bulls. That's all you. Anyway, look, man, shoot us a quick take. 219-413-9405. Let us know what you think about any of the free agent deals that's been going on in the NBA, any of the trades that's been happening. I would love to hear about you. There's some news we got coming up. We're going to cover some of the free agency deals and some things that's been going on. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. It's halftime. All right, and news for the run. Let's get into it. It's a free agent, Paul George. He's found a new home out in Philly. Paul George and the 76ers, they agreed to a 4-year, $212 million max deal. And the 76ers weren't done right there. The guard, Tyrese Maxey, he also landed a huge deal agreeing to a 5-year, $204 million max contract extension. Wow, crazy things happening over there in Philly. But move over to the West Coast. The Dubs dynasty as we know it is officially over. Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors has parted ways with the franchise he won 4 championships with. He recently signed a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. Crazy. I'm excited to see him and Luka Doncic along with Kyrie Irving team up over there, but I'm anticipating great basketball above all. Anyway, look, the Detroit Pistons, they found a new head coach. J.B. Bickerstaff, former Cleveland Cavaliers head coach, will now coach the Detroit Pistons. Tobias Harris, his reunion with Detroit has also happened because he's headed back to Detroit as he agreed to a 2-year deal for $52 million. Now, former Knicks center Isaiah Hartenstein, he's agreed to a new deal as well. Hartenstein agreed to a 3-year, $87 million deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the Boston Celtics' Jason Tatum signed a super max contract extension that's worth $314 million for 5 years. This immediately made Jason Tatum one of the highest paid players in the NBA and the highest paid player in NBA history with this contract. Chris Paul, he signed a 1-year deal with the San Antonio Spurs for $11 million to go over there and help Victor Wembanyama as in his early stage. But above all, man, I think we had some dope free agency signings, man. The deal that probably made me the most excited was the Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks deal. I'm excited to see how these guys gel together. We always hear these things about the Dallas Mavericks being a great organization and, just being a well-organized organization as well in the front office. And it really shows because we don't see too many foolish moves out of the Dallas Mavericks in each offseason. They always make important moves. They make tactical moves, and they make moves that legitimately make them better, unlike some teams in the Western Conference like the Los Angeles Lakers. And I hate to throw shade, but that's just what it is. In the past few years, we've seen the Dallas Mavericks pick up Kyrie Irving. We've seen them grab the center who had a huge impactful play. They drafted well in the past year, and they also still managed to make it work between Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, and they sent Tim Hardaway Jr. away, but now they bringing in another piece in Klay Thompson. So you can't help but to applaud the greatness that front office has been doing. And then I think above all, man, that organization definitely, had one of the sneaky moves of this offseason. That's one of the best. But look, man, some free agency deals I need to see happen. You know which moves done already happened this offseason. And there's a couple more things I need to see happen in order to be satisfied. So first things first, DeMar DeRozan got to get the hell out of Chicago. This man is far too talented to be hanging around in Chicago, giving buckets with a team who don't know what to do with him. Because right now the Bulls have no idea what to do, how to build, and in what ways they can even make the situation better. And I'm not mad at DeMar DeRozan for saying, I'm tired of it, I'm done. So I would love to see DeMar DeRozan even go play with the Los Angeles Lakers. As much as it would hurt my soul for him to go play in that shit show over there in LA, I would love to see him go play with a legitimate contender in the Western Conference. And even if he decided to go take his talent to Golden State, which we know they are dying for somebody to go over there and help Steph Curry, I would love to see him go play with Golden State because I think it could legitimately work. Steph Curry having another guy outside of Draymond Green. He needs that. He needs that desperately, more than LeBron needs him, because at least LeBron got AD. But DeRozan right now, he's that next big target that teams are going to want that can legitimately flip a team into a 7th seed, 5th seed to a contender in the postseason, and because we know what he can bring to a team. So DeMar DeRozan, I got to see him go play for a legitimate contender. Outside of that, man, some of the other free agents that's even here right now, Tyus Jones, for the point guards, you got Tyus Jones, Kyle Lowry, shooting guards, Buddy Hield, Gary Harris, Malik Beasley. He can be a huge help for a team. I still want to see Malik Beasley go to the Detroit Pistons. I think that could be great for them after signing Tim Hardaway Jr., bringing in Tobias Harris. Man, Malik Beasley will be good because he's another shooter, another guy who can stretch the floor above all. Who else is out here? LeBron is a free agent, but we know he's going back to LA. Miles Bridges, man, another guy I would love to see go play with a contender, even if it's Detroit. But I think Miles Bridges still has a lot to offer. Taurean Prince still has a lot to offer as well. And the Lakers would kind of be foolish if they let Taurean Prince get away, because that man plays some lockdown defense. And when you throw a defensive lineup out there, like with Cam Reddish and Vando and Taurean Prince, it can get nasty out there for LA. So I think he's going to be a pivotal piece for the Lakers if they want to see some sort of success. But ultimately, I just have a feeling that a lot depends on what DeMar DeRozan does and if the Lakers can even get DeMar DeRozan. Outside of that, let's see some centers. You got Wagner. You got Tillman Sr. He just won a championship with the Celtics, so kudos to him. And then James Wiseman is still out there as well. So you got some role players. You got a lot of role players. You don't have the guy who's going to take you to a championship left in free agency, but you definitely have some role players that can help you out. So above all, let's see the contenders in the NBA get even better. Like the Knicks, they got a little bit better. Celtics, they got a little bit better because they re-signed some of the pieces. They didn't really lose anybody. Philly clearly got better. They got Paul George and brought back one of their role guys. So I just want to see the teams who are already there, get a little bit better. And the Milwaukee Bucks, they could use some of these guys because they need the role players to fill in the small voids that they have. They had Malik Beasley. I would be trying to get him back, but They got to fix some things over there. They got to fix a lot of things because everybody else in the Eastern Conference is getting better besides the Milwaukee Bucks. Same for the Indiana Pacers too. They want to make sure they get better. So do what you got to do. I need to see some sort of improvements here. In the West, top dogs is Lakers, Lakers just got a lot of noise going on, but I still think it's Denver and the Mavericks. And then Lakers is there because they got Bron and AD, so you got to consider them. Ja's going to be coming back. The Timberwolves, they had a great draft night, so Timberwolves definitely a top team in the West right now. But yeah, you got a couple of people out there. So let's see. Let's just keep seeing some improvement in free agency. I'm sure it's going to continue to get riled up. What's crazy is by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be so much that already changed from half of the names I just listed in this last segment. But anyway, look, man, hey, that's all we got for you today. So I'm going to leave you with something positive, and I'm going to just say this for the positive note here. Right off the top of the dome, not going to be too complex here. I'm going to just say something simple is find the bright side of whatever you're going through. Find the bright side and do what you got to do to bring yourself back to a balanced state of mind. So if that means, you having a bad moment, some things didn't go your way, some things are a little bit stressful, just do what you got to do to make sure you can balance that out to being grateful and being okay in your mental state of wherever you are. And then find the bright side of wherever you are. Look at some positives. Say, damn, you know what? At least I can see. At least I can hear to what this guy is talking about. At least I can walk around. You're physically able. You're aware mentally. Like you gotta take the wins in whichever way you can get them, because you're gonna catch some L's. You're gonna catch some L's. That's indubitably gonna happen. You're gonna catch some L's. I done caught some L's. You catch L's every day, but it's on you to flip it around and turn it into a dub. So I'm gonna just keep that there. You take that however you want to perceive it. Anyway, look, man, that's all I got for y'all, but I appreciate you for tuning in. Of course, share this with a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, anyone you know who cares about them, and definitely share the promotion code, The Run Podcast, to get $20 off your first ticket purchase with SeatGeek. Use that promo code, The Run Podcast. Send that to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, anyone you know as well. I promise you they will not mind. Follow us on Instagram at The Run Podcast and my personal at I am Manny Wilson. And until then, I will be back later on this week. And so on and so on and so on.